The worst TCG launch of all time. That is an incredibly bold claim, as someone who's played a number of TCGs, including Legend of the Five Rings and the Naruto TCG, by Stevie Blunder. I'm ready to see about this. I've heard of this VTuber TCG. I don't know enough about it. My concerns are on longevity and if the game is balanced and good. So I'm really curious to hear what this is.
Okay, who wants to talk about drama? Ooh, I love drama. So, who loves trading card games?
I love trading card games, dude. I currently play Yu-Bell in Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in Legend of the Five Rings, I played Emperor Edition. I did play... Was it Odoro States? I think it was Odoro States. I played out of Scorpion. I did play Forgotten Temple. I did play Oni. I did play that. I did play out of... played Odoro States out of Scorpion Clan. We're talking like Shoshoro, Redirect to Goju Sawaki, that kind of thing. Going into Law of Darkness Dojo towards the end of Emperor Edition format. Ivory Edition, I ended up falling out of the game, unfortunately. Still one of my most just... Oh, dude, Legend of the Five Rings. Like, you had to literally be there. Oh man, it's so good. Let me know your clan. Let me know which clan you liked. Oh my god, so good. I love seeing old L5R players. It's like seeing that old crew, right? Like they know what you're talking about. Naruto CCG, I got in at set 24 Sage's Legacy. Played in a couple tunings. I never topped. But I mean, I generally have played. I kind of went between Water and Lightning. For all intents and purposes, that's kind of what I run. I run like Water, Lightning, Firebox. Have like things like Sasuke, Mizukage in there. Things like Sage Naruto as a tech, right? I feel like I've been fairly around the block in terms of TCGs. So I also come from the era of TCGs where we had things like the Yu Hakusho game. Never played it. We did have Zatch Bell TCG, Full Metal Alchemist TCG, Duel Masters. Haven't played any of those, but I do know people played them. I know a lot of people liked them. So I'm into it. I might not necessarily be the best. I might not be like actual regional qualifier or world championship status, but I do have a passion for this.
I know I do. I am a notorious trading card game enjoyer, despite what 90% of my YouTube channel maybe. Shout out to Konami. Thanks for not killing my family.
Nice.
But
respect.
One thing that trading card game enjoyers love is big booby anime art. So
Fact, dude, the amount of people who show up. Like, so here's the thing. Have your spicy anime art. Have your spicy mat, even your sleeves. Don't bring it to an event with kids, okay? Keep your Liliana Vess X Chandra playmat at home, okay? When you and the boys, okay, you make some pizzas and you do your draft, you do your cube, you play EDH/Commander, you play Modern at your house, right? Because we play Standard anymore, let's be real. Got him. Zinger. Like, sure, then break out the sussy Dark Magician Girl mat, right? Sure, whatever. If you're near kids, please don't be that person. Please don't be that person, right? I don't care who you are. I just don't. Not when there's kids around. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it professional. Let's make sure that because you will be paired with kids, there will be kids in the environment for all intents and purposes. Okay, this isn't L5R. 11 o'clock at night, you go to the truck stop Denny's a city over, or you have adult hour where people start breaking out the wine and stuff. Right? That's not Yu-Gi-Oh. That's not Pokemon. That's not insert TCG here that you will see at a local game store. There needs to be that division.
Gamersups made a TCG.
I didn't know
introducing VCard Rising Stars First Edition. 50 plus creators in the game, 50 artists bringing the heat, 200 plus cards to collect. Don't miss out. This is the beginning. And when I heard about this, I was like, oh my god, this is like pretty sick. It might be like a VTuber trading card game. It's gonna be like Weiss, except maybe actually.
Was that Hydrated Waifu? I know most of these. I know the Fifi full arts go pretty hard.
Good. I feel like Weiss is already pretty good. I'll say it.
Cinder.
You got like Cinder. We have like
Vienna.
I think Fauna's in this game still somehow. You have Shy Lily. Like in concept, pretty good idea. How could this go?
No, in concept, this was amazing. That's why I was looking at this. In concept, this was amazing. Like, I'm like, oh my god, you can get so many personalities together. Like, oh my god, this is so cool.
Wrong. Well, before this website went like 100% live, this learn to play thing did not exist. And if you searched the Twitter account, you scroll, there's openings, launch,
sure.
trailer, Art trailer. Oh, where's the how to play tutorial?
So I don't necessarily fault the game on that. Generally, there is an instruction booklet, right? Like, for all intents and purposes, you could RTFC like most of Magic, right? You can be able to pick up a Magic deck, RTFC, what does this say? Oh, I cast this for, like, Giant Cactar. I cast this for, like, or what is it, Jumbo Cactar, or whatever it is, right? New reveal, right? Cool. 7 colorless, like, 2 green, rats, for 9 mana. Cool, what does it do? Oh, it does this. Grats, RTFC, like, you're done. Oh, but what does Nightmare Pain do with Yubel? Okay, RTFC. Use Nightmare Pain, destroy Yubel, right? Since I destroyed Yubel Prime destroyed, activate, engrave, summon Yubel Terra Incarnate to board, right? Like, and like I get that's like actual like game knowledge kind of thing. But if it's like, what's the turn structure, right? Like in Pokemon, you don't get a main phase 2, right? You get your, what is it draw phase, start of turn? I have to remember the turn structure, but it definitely goes like your main phase, quote unquote, battle phase, and then you go strictly to end phase. Where in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's draw phase, standby phase, main 1, battle phase optional, main 2 optional dependent on battle, and then you have end phase, right? Like stuff like that is going to be included in a manual. I don't necessarily fault it for not how do you play this, as long as it's somewhere in the product that you buy, like a little rules booklet or something. Like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily that hard on that.
They say it's a trading card game. I would like to know how the game actually functions. You know what I'm saying, dog? Like, it is a game. I do want to play this game. Number one way to sync your card game is to have players. You only want to have collectors.
I will also say this game is not going to be Legend of the Five Ring status. You don't have to deal, and we're talking Emperor Edition specifically, you're not going to have to deal with Border Keep. You're not going to have to deal with Bamboo Harvesters. You're not going to have to deal with Personal Honor, trying to figure out who goes to first or second. It's probably going to be a coin flip unless there's some arbitrary card that does show, hi, I do go first because of this value. Like, this is not going to be Legend of the Five Rings. You're not playing with 2 decks. You're not having to play with focus values on your Dynasty cards, right? Wait, are they? No, sorry, focus value on your Fate cards, right? Like, you're not having to deal with 4 win conditions, right? Military victory, honor victory, getting 40 or above, dishonor victory, your opponent goes negative 20 honor or below, and or enlightenment victory, right? You're not having to deal with this. So I already got like the hard stuff out of the way for all intents and purposes. Like, you're not Legend of the Five Rings. I'm sorry. Like, you will have mechanics, absolutely, but you're not going to be that complex. Even God, man, I just miss LFR. I just miss Legend of the Five Rings. I just want Legend of the Five Rings back, please. Just give me Emperor Edition back. Just give me Ivory Edition back, please. Just give me Legend of the Five Rings back. I want it.
Pokemon World TCG, like having collectors is the objective like way to keep your game alive.
Correct,
but it is a really bad way to like keep your card game like intact. You know what I mean?
I got priced out of the format in Sword and Shield because scalpers started buying so much Pokemon product. I literally went around local stores in my area. They're all out of Pokemon product. Correct. The way that you get investors, collectors, whatever, into your game is you do have your alternative rarities. You have your hyper rares. You have your Illustrator secret rares, right? You have your quarter century rares that like the new the Blue Eyes whatever fusion, right? I always forget its name. Dragon Master Magus or whatever. I can't remember offhand. Like, you do have those things that your collectors will just dig up product to chase, and then those collectors will just sell bulk, right? That's why you have like, oh, hi, I wish to buy Mind Control. Oh, there's 20 copies in this one listing. Pokemon's kind of in an interesting place right now because like trying to just buy like Miraidon or Koraidon EXs, like I can only find sellers with like one listing on TCG Player, like with like one copy. Then I go to Yu-Gi-Oh and it's like, oh, I can do this person already has like 3 copies of Fiendsmith Engraver. I could just buy that entire engine right there. So he is absolutely correct. He is absolutely based for that. Yes, you do keep your product alive by having that collectability, but your player base will suffer.
Because otherwise people are just gonna look at your cards and be like, these are all only for collectors.
Yeah,
like the only thing anyone will ever use these for is basically tokens, or like they'll use them like K-pop Polaroids, you know what I mean? But before we get into, you know, the learn to play and the disaster that is this game, let's try and buy some VCard merch. Oh, what's that? It's already down?
It's already out. Like, is it down? Is this a temporary outage? Like, So I was really hyped for this actually because I was curious how it played. Because once again, I want to be Seto Kaiba. That's all I want to be. I want to be Seto Kaiba. I just want to play competitive games for a living. That's what I want. That's what I want to do. Oh my god, please. That would be like so good. Yeah, this is interesting.
It already doesn't exist. This is if you wanted to buy cases for V-Star. It went down within like 10 minutes. I tried to buy a case and it just immediately went down. They took the page down. And this was the same for first edition boxes, playmats, sleeves, and binders. Like Shy Lily binders. Also, you may notice that it says ships 12 to 16 weeks after pre-sale.
That's normal, though.
It's because originally, if you wanted the original release, it shipped 3 to 4 weeks after. It shipped 3 to 4 weeks. That was the average. By the way, you could not ship to international because international shipping was $20 or something, plus the 12% custom tax. So shout out to France.
I don't know. Like, I like it. I do like my Geckos and Treya playmat. I think I have a Narissa Ravencroft playmat from her birthday merch coming in, which I will be using to great effect. I have my... Dude, do you know they made a Yubel Spellgrounds mat? You know what Spellgrounds are? People who play trading card games know what Spellgrounds are. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm good on mats. I have so many mats. It's not even funny. Had a buddy actually trade me there. I need to get my new evil hero Neos Lord playmat. Thanks for reminding me. Have I mentioned I love you, Bell? It's good. I like the art. It looks like it's quality. I wonder if it's actually like has that raised edge, like that embroidered edge. Because that'd be really cool. That'd be really value as well.
This is the unlimited run where 12 to 16 weeks after pre-sale. Yep, you'll get this in 4 months. It's not really something. Yeah, nobody, I guarantee you, nobody will remember this card game exists in 4 months. I will bet.
I think that's a pretty bold claim. I would very much like to see, like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not necessarily being combative, and I know the internet will misconstrue things like that. It's like, okay, but what's your substantiation on this, right? And I'm sure he'll get into it throughout the video because I've been pausing a lot. Once again, as it turns out, I talk about TCGs a lot. I don't often get to talk about TCGs. I really love games. I really love trading card games. I even really love Warhammer. I still need to play Warhammer. I have so much Eldari literally sitting next to me that I built. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't often get to talk about this kind of stuff. So I'm very interested to hear his opinion on why it'll be irrelevant in 4 months.
A whole $1 on it. It may be primarily a collector game. It may be primarily just like a Gooner game for whatever. Maybe the game itself is still pretty playable. Well,
sure.
Let's read the rules. Okay, so the way how it works is you have to be the first player to score 5 points in a 1v1.
Sure.
So first to 5.
Okay, interesting.
And then there are basically 3 different card types, for the most part. There are power cards. These are like the VTubers themselves. We have mascot cards. These are basically like bonuses. And certain mascots give certain power cards like a bonus. A bonus. Because, you know, like...
So are we talking like this is like a spell from Yu-Gi-Oh, like a continuous spell card and or trap card? Are we talking this is like a mission from Naruto? Like a permanent mission, permanent 3 mission? Okay. Sure. Dedicated card that augments your personality, right? And I could say creature like magic. I'm defaulting to my L5R wording because that's how I try to understand games. So personality, right? Your VTuber themselves. Okay. So you have a strategy that augments your personality as your mascot. Got it.
It's their mascot. Like Bao and her whale whatever will probably give themselves like a bonus, you know, because you're supporting Bao. And support...
Okay, you're playing an archetype.
Support cards are basically, you know, they're fucking item cards. Who cares? Okay, so this all kind of makes sense so far. Now they talk about element bonuses, and I'm like, oh.
Support cards provide effects that can change the course of the round. So this feels like your standard spell card, right? Spell card from Yu-Gi-Oh! Your sorcery instant from Magic.
Okay, maybe it's like the Pokemon type chart. Like fire beats grass, but loses to water, and water beats fire, but loses to electric, blah, 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 blah.
I think you run into issues because Pokemon literally solves this. Here, I have a great way that I can showcase how Pokemon literally solves that. So if we look at Darkrai EX, right? Let's just go look at a pretty common card that people will see. The way that Pokemon solves this is that literally in the bottom left right here, they'll literally have weakness. So if a fighting type Pokemon hits you, right, the Pokemon must be fighting. If the not that the attack has a fighting energy attached to it, right? if you get hit by a Pokemon that is type fighting, you will be taking ×2 damage. Resistance works the same way as well. If you have a resistance to something, it'll say minus X, right? Minus 10, minus 20, minus 30. If you had a Pokemon that just doesn't have a weakness, I'm pretty sure we could look at something like, I don't know. Something like, no, because Dragon type Pokemons do have weakness. I can't recall one offhand. However, there are cards without weaknesses. It's RTFC. Read the card, right? It's not inherently bad to have something like this in regards to fire beats grass, grass beats water. Like, it's not bad to have this kind of type matchup system. I'd have to look at the actual card themselves. It is generally, in my opinion, good practice to like have that designated on the card in some capacity, though.
It's basically you want to like keep some sort of like type balance in your mind, and I'm sure this will definitely come up when you're actually like reading these cards. You're like, okay, the power 8 is like the weaker one.
They're strength and weakness. Okay, yeah, so they already resolved that. They resolved my concern on that.
And the power 10 is like the strongest version. Okay, why does the power 10 not have any effects? The power 8, the weakest one has an effect. Power 9 doesn't have any effects, but has more power.
We see this in Pokemon, though. You can evolve a Gible into a Gabite, and a Gabite might have a ability to... Eels, right? Let's go Eels. Let's go with Dynamotor Electros. Because you can tell when I played the game. Yeah, so obviously Pokemon, right? Electric, right? It's not Electros, my bad. Dynamotor. Once per turn during your turn before you attack, you may attach one lightning energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Sure, grats, there is reason to have electric on the board. So by that logic, it's not inherently a fault if you say, I don't know, have Yonner's 8 on board, because Yonner's 8 has an ability to help get your engine going. It depends on how this plays. It depends if there's a bench. It depends if there's multiple zones. I think going over zone structure and deck construction first would have been a better way to critique this personally, but there's absolutely valid reasons to have something like, even in Yu-Gi-Oh!, there are people who have Armed Dragon level 5, even Armed Dragon level 7, but never go Armed Dragon level 10. That's just how games work.
And Power 10 has more effects. I mean, it has more power, but still no effect.
Sure, it's Big Beat Stick.
And the only effect is like the gain power. Like, what the fuck? Okay. So our monsters are just getting bigger but losing abilities. Whatever. Who cares?
Sure. Once again, who uses Armed Dragon level 10 versus Armed Dragon level 7?
The way how you score points is by winning rounds. And when you win 5 rounds, that is where you get a whatever it's called. Now, you may notice that this thing says the winner of the game claims the entire prize pool. We will get to that. If you
Surely it's not an actual anti-roll.
do not draw a power card in your opening 7, you shuffle your whole hand and then draw back up to 6.
Interesting. I think Naruto solved this the best, though. You could mulligan as much as you wanted, as far as I was aware. So you would draw, I think it is, you draw 6 at start, right? Yeah, shuffle, draw 6. You can just choose to mulligan at any point. You just, okay, hey, cool. I have, I don't know, turn 5 Kakashi, turn 5 Itachi without ambush, Naruto Uzumaki turn 3, and then I have like 2 turn 3 missions, right? And then like, I don't know, maybe like a Mizukage is my last card. Yeah, this hand's kind of garbage. This hand is booty cheeks. Shuffle back, draw 5. Wow, I still got a garbage hand. Shuffle back, draw 4. And I think you could go down 3-2-1 if I remember correctly. It's odd that I haven't seen that replicated. I think that it gives a lot of modularity into how you approach the game and how you can fix your hand. You do have the detriment of going down in hand size. I think that it's interesting that if you flub twice, you just lose the game. Well, round, right? That's interesting to me.
If you do not have a power card after the mulligan, you lose the round. First thing that comes to mind, I lose this round. I still can't play a power card, and I'm allegedly only allowed 1 mulligan. And by the way, I can't draw an additional card. Because the maintenance phase, I have to drop to 5, but I'll have 6 cards in hand. So how does that work? What happens if I
That depends when it's checked in timing. Like, so for instance, right? Like, Yu-Gi-Oh has a bunch of things that trigger in the end phase, right? So like Yubel, right? Yubel Prime, actual Yubel, has a maintenance cost in the end phase where you have to tribute one monster or it just like ganks itself, right? To which then you can have things in the end phase activate, like Samsara D Lotus. Samsara D Lotus activate Engrave, special summon to field, activating Spirit of Yubel's maintenance cost, tributing Samsara D Lotus. I stay on the field, get bent. It depends when that's checked. It's like how there are other games as well that I think Yu-Gi-Oh is one of those as well. I think that deck out is checked at the end of the turn. I know other games it is like this as well too. The game isn't necessarily lost once you draw your last card. The actual check happens at the end. L5R as well also did have certain things such as honor, dishonor. Sure, you could hit 40 honor on your turn. Can you crack my province? If I dishonor you this turn and bring you below 40 before the end of your turn when it is checked, you just won't get the victory, right? It entirely depends where this is phased. Like a phase chart would help.
Draw a card for the beginning of my turn, but I still don't draw a power card. Like, do I just lose? What does my opponent battle? Additionally, deciding who goes first.
Drawing first, and it was also solved in Yu-Gi-Oh and other games as well. Going first already, I think, has a slightly favorable percent chance. I would literally have to have either a statistician, or I would have to statistician, mathematician, or somebody who does like understand like game design at a core level, like the person who can and will break down the entire intrinsic nature of Magic's color pie, right? Black, blue, white, red, green, like breaking down that entire color pie in terms of like actual game theory, could actually cite the ways in which you benefit from drawing going first. Many games have just, no, you don't draw going first anymore because going first inherently does offer an edge, especially in a game like Yu-Gi-Oh where you can just drop, I don't know, things like evenly matched, infinite impermanence. You do gain advantage. If my opponent doesn't have Ash Blossom and I'm playing Yubel, right? I'm normal summoning the Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast ends up searching for opening Spirit Gates, drop opening Spirit Gates, search like Dark Beckoning Beast. Samsara D Lotus, tribute his cost. Like I'm wombo comboing, right? And if you're playing something like, I don't know, Monarchs or Blue Eyes, right? Or you can't play into the Varudris Spirit of Yubel like negates, you can just kind of get blown out.
You basically put your power card and your opponent's power card into like the active zone. It's like Pokemon. And then you reveal, and then if they happen to have the same power, you compare the elements to like see which one has the weaker element.
Rock, paper,
and if
scissors.
yours has like a better element, yours will go first.
Sure. I kind of like that. That's not actually dissimilar to how Legend of the Five Rings handled it. So if we look at Legend of the Five Rings, we're gonna pull up Kalani's Landing. I can't actually spell. This was actually banned in Emperor Edition because it was actually like bonkers good. So if we have Kalani's Landing versus like Twin Forks City, I'm not going to go Scorpion because Scorpion just inherently does not have honor. Like that's not what my deck does. But if we go like L5R status, right? Like both players start with a province, or it's not a province, start with a stronghold. So for example, if your clan name was Mantis, right? You have Kalani's Landing, right? You have top, which is province strength. I'm trying to actually move my model. Top, which is province strength. Middle, which is gold cost. 2, which is starting honor. So you have a 7/4/2. Kalani's, don't worry about the effect text. It just untaps like every phase. It is a gold go burr, line go up meme. So Kalani's versus something like Twin Force City, which is Crane. This is a Crane clan stronghold, duelist Crane specifically. You have a 6 province strength, so you're a little bit weaker. Like your house is a little bit weaker. Instead of like stone, it's made out of brick, right? That kind of thing. You produce 4 gold by bowing this, tapping this effectively, and then you have 6 starting honor. So both players reveal their stronghold. A 6 versus a 2, the 6 will go first. If you are clearly the more honor brew, right? And we absolutely shitposted with the Japanese aesthetic of that game, right? Like if you are the more honor brew clan, you would just go first. My eternal hell is knowing that I'm never going to get L5R back again. Like, that is actually my eternal purgatory.
But if it's a draw, you play RPS anyways? Why wouldn't it just make it, like, random to begin with who starts? Like, you could say it's maybe for, like, the mind game. Oh, by the way, if yours has less power...
For rock, paper, scissors, I would heads or tails, like flip a coin, right? Something like that. So this is actually getting into the nitty-gritty, like, actual rulings, right? Like, this is actually like rule sharking territory, because verbatim RTFC, verbatim read the rules. It does say play rock, paper, scissors. So therefore, flipping a coin, rolling a d6, you know, odds and evens, right? That technically could not fly in a tournament setting, because it very specifically in the rule document, without an errata, does say rock, paper, scissors. You might argue I'm being pedantic. We literally, this is what playing competitive TCGs is like, though. Like, this is it, right? So if we look at Madara Uchiha, S28, right? This was the set 28 Madara, which didn't even technically work, right? So we have Madara Uchiha, right? Remove one Uchiha Madara ninja card, and any player's discard power from the game, right? So this card cannot work. There is no card that is named Uchiha Madara. But Kip, like that's just Madara's name. That you can't dissect words. That's not how that works. I have Tamias in Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not work because of wording, right? And this is why errata has become a thing, right? Set 28, where this Madara came from, Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 set, was actually riddled with a few of these. I know Gaara's father, fourth Kazakage, right? He had a pretty big thing that needed to happen. Mifune, there had to be a ruling with Mifune. I think that was less errata and just more ruling, where two Mifunes, negate entire enemy units, like effects, like just blank their effects effectively. Like, what happens if you have an attacking Mifune and a defending Mifune? Attacker has priority, so that one does take precedent, because it used to be people were speculating that it's going to be, okay, well, it's going to be able to hit the board first, and because this has board presence for longer, not something you technically track, but something that TCG players can take track of, right? Like, what do you mean this card has been on the field longer, therefore it can do this? It depends on the system, depends on the rule set, depends RTFC, depends on the actual, like, quote unquote engine that the card game is being run out of. Yes, we are this pedantic. We do look at this with the fine microscope. We look at this. So I'd be very curious if this is one of those. They'll probably hand wave it. Yeah, roll a dice, flip a coin, whatever. It doesn't have to be rock, paper, scissors, right? That's the reasonable conclusion that, like, a judge would come to, as long as it is something that is RNG based.
Or you go first, which is so fucking stupid, but whatever. During the battle phase, players may play at least one card a round, or the round is lost. Sure. Players can play one mascot.
There's a lot of lose conditions in this.
And one support card a turn. 2 cards total, unless an effect states otherwise, before they pass the turn to the opponent. Players alternate turns playing cards until one player has no more cards to play, or if one player is ahead in power level for more than 2 of their own turns.
The reason this game is going to run into issues with play, in my opinion, is because there's too many limitations on what can and can't be played, right? So Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I've literally told you about the Yubel, like the start of the Yubel combo, Darkback getting Beast, Samsara Diodos. I'm going to save you another run through, right? But, like, yes, you are limited to one normal summon a turn in Yu-Gi-Oh. Okay. Sure. Okay. Magic the Gathering, you are limited by how much mana you can produce, right? So when you're an absolute degenerate like I am, and I play nothing but Modern Tron, right? That's what I play. I play Tron. When I play Magic, I don't even play Magic correctly. You're just limited by the amount of mana, right? Grats, turn 4. I have 2 Urza Tower, Mine, and Power Plant on board. Tap 4, Ulamog, Ceaseless Hunger, question mark? Swing, question mark, right? Like, stuff like that. There's a lot of, because I'm not used to seeing this in games. That's like in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you can't do your normal summon, you just lose the round, right? Can you imagine if that was like in Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? Or in Magic, if you could not play a land per turn in Magic, right? Which this is must play at least one card before the round is lost, right? Like, this is something that's vital to your play. If you do not play a round a turn, you just lose the round, right? I think that's going to be a huge sticking point for a lot of people, and I'm very curious on, like, the competitive quote-unquote players who play this game. I'm very curious on their take in regards to what their opinion on this is.
So, there are 2 ways you can read this. Either there's the game, which is the total, sure, and then each round is like one instance of combat, and each round is comprising of turns, sure, which is like, okay, sure. In which case we kind of just like loop around again. This is a headache already, but sure. Like, it can maybe be like that. You know, maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe
I mean, I'm thinking of this like Warhammer, right? I'm assuming this is Warhammer, right? I'm playing Eldari, my opponent's playing Custodes. My turn is me doing my Eldari movement phase, shoot, maybe even charge if I have like Avatar of Cain out, right? My opponent then has their turn, which is able to be like Custodes, Deep Strike, do Custodes things, take that point, hold that point, because nobody's getting on that point because your name is Adeptus Custodes. And then after both of our turns conclude, that is a full round. I'm looking at this from the Warhammer 40k perspective. And then a game would be like a best 2 out of 3 kind of setting, right? Like a best 2 out of 3, like kill team game, right? So kill team, my turn as like Eldari, kill team, your turn as like, I don't know, like Phobos Strike Team or whatever. And then that would be one round when both of us went. And then you would go into, it's like best 2 out of 3. But obviously not really a best 2 out of 3 with things like Warhammer 40k. It's just kind of like you show up, you win or lose, right? As far as I'm aware. But if that's the structure, I go, you go round, I go, you go round, I go, you go round. And then that's inside of the overarching game. I don't know. I think that the terminology is interesting. I'd have to the actual index with keywords would help right about now.
Maybe this game is too high concept for me. Judge, we can't agree on who decides to go first. Judge, you're real brave for assuming this game is gonna be complex enough for rulings. But anyways, you basically just play a bunch of cards until one guy has the biggest booby woman and they win, right?
Sure.
Now, what happens if there's a tie? You keep going until like basically one person runs out of cards or one player is ahead in power level for more than two of their own turns. How they wouldn't automatically win if they're already ahead in power level, who fucking knows? But
I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! Time rules would actually benefit here, right? Like if you're 1-1 and then Kaim is called, okay, cool. So I like old time rules, not modern where you have till end of phase, but like old time rules of like your turn, opponent's turn, your turn, opponent's turn, and then whoever wins right there, right? It's like it can be a compact enough window in which that can happen. But obviously when you have like massive lines of play solitaring out your deck, obviously that's why we have modern time rules end of phase, right? Yeah, I think as have some sort of cutoff point. That might be a little too nebulous for ties and time.
Whatever. You basically draw 3 cards, put them into the prize pool.
Sure.
And then you just play another round using your current hand, and then the loser of the tiebreaker adds all cards from the tied round into their prize pool. But
sure.
What happens if the turn ends? Because like they said, turns can end because players just run out of cards to play.
Sure.
But this should theoretically never happen because we're drawing until 5 cards every turn. But turn end? What does this mean? How do we...
I think refilling your hand is actually necessary. So instead of like a beginning of turn, right? Draw phase, standby phase, right? Instead of just drawing one, the fact that you're refilling your hand is going to play into the lose conditions. If you do not have X card to play during a turn, you just lose the round. That plays into that. Because, I mean, my immediate thing is like, do we have things like Professor Sycamore, Pot of Greed? What do we have? Well, I guess Professor's Research is technically the modern equivalent, right? Discard your hand, draw 7. Like, your game of dice, L5R. Like, this would make sense because they're focusing so hard on draw and everyone should reasonably be loaded. But then again, if you don't have cards to play, as far as I'm aware, is that not just a round loss? Like, as far as I'm aware, that has been presented, rules is written, if I can't do the thing, I just lose, which could lead to a metagame in which you try to, like, not necessarily hand rip your opponent, right? But to try and speed through their hand or to try to fix the game in a sense that, like, they cannot play the game, which would be an incredibly degenerative metagame.
Play! Did they say the deck size has no maximum? Oh, yeah. Chat, catch me at...
You don't want that. You do not want that.
Anime Expo, when this game has like an on-site booth, I'm showing up with literally every card. 5 million. How many cards did they say? 250 cards. Multiply that before. I'm showing up with a 1,000 card main deck. You guys about to fucking witness God and buy the...
You don't want that. No, you do not want a limitless deck size. That is going to become a rulings nightmare. That is 100% going to become a rulings nightmare. You will get judge calls. You will get people bringing the 2,000 card deck in. Like, yeah. That one kind of hurts. That does, however, feed into buy more product.
Away the prize pool mechanic. Both players have a set prize pool and discard area.
Sure.
If you lose a round, instead of putting it into your discard area, you put it into your prize pool.
Sure.
Which is claimed by the victor of the game. So that means if you...
Do we actually have anti-rules? No. No. On principle, I cannot play this game. Like, that's not even a skill issue. Like, so the infinite deck size thing was already solved in Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't remember enough of the details. There's plenty of videos out there on the people who showed up with like a 2,000 card deck. Like, this thing was an absolute tower. You have Magic that has like there were anti cards in Magic where they're not. Like, there were anti rules even, as far as I was aware. There's a reason they don't do this. Like, that's like if I bought like Pokemon product and I pulled like a Illustrator Rare and then using the Illustrator Rare in my deck, and then it just RNG got put in the prize pile. I think that this is going to start a lot of fights. And I wonder what their decision making. So one, I wonder if they're going to redact this policy. I wonder if they're actually going to adjust this. Two, I wonder how they're going to handle it. I wonder how this would be enforceable. I wonder how like, is this just straight up like Battle City rules and like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like, grats, you know, I revival jam brain controlled your Slifer into decking you out. Now give me your Slifer, nerd, right? Like, is it going to be that? What happens if you have a totally degenerate metagame where you physically can't play the game, as mentioned before? What if you cannot draw the cards? What if you don't have the cards to play, right? What if you're just RNG'd out of a game in its entirety? I think that there's a lot of really crucial conversations that need to be had. That's definitely a development I did not foresee personally.
Lose any card you put into the prize pool, your opponent takes it now. It's theirs. Say goodbye to your one-of-one Ultra God Rare Shy Lily signed boobies. You're cooked, buddy. So not only is this game extremely fucking predatory for VTuber simps, not only is this game ridiculously stupid in its rules, not in the sense where it's complicated, but in the sense where just so much stuff is not clarified, and the rules kind of seem like weirdly needlessly complicated in regards to like rounds and turns and like whatever it's called. And additionally, it's fucking gambling. It's just Magic the Gathering anti. I made it to the grand finals, but my deck strategy has been gutted as I lost my win cons on them.
Yeah, how do you deal with tournament setting? So obviously, the logical conclusion here is this is strictly a collector's product. This is like, what is it? I was going to say like buying Gunpla, right? Like Gundam kits, but there's no actual associated game with it, right? Well, obviously now we have the new like Gundam miniatures game, but I digress. Like, that's not the point. Like, from an actions, sure, absolutely, as a collector's product, that's fine. Sure, go for it. If this is marketed as a collector's product, sure, this is marketed as a collector's product. You will never see anybody playing this game. You will see people with, 30 copies of spicy art Fifi in their binder, and that's perfectly fine. Once again, just please don't have spicy art near kids. That's all any of us TCG players really ask for all intents and purposes, right? Like, as somebody who plays Yu-Gi-Oh, somebody who plays not necessarily Magic. God, man, I pity the poor person that asks, oh, let's play Magic. I don't care what deck you use. Tron Gobert. It's not even good. I just played the game wrong. Play Yu-Gi-Oh, play Pokemon. Even sometimes in Warhammer. I was painting something a while back, and there was a kid next to me because their parents brought him in, and he was just, painting. I think it was a Blood Ravens mod or something like that. Just be safe. So be safe. Like, be professional. Like, I cannot stress that enough. This will be a collector's product. The the amount of loss conditions, the quote unquote complexity, like this isn't good complexity. Like this isn't L5R complexity, right? Like give me my 2 decks. Let me set up my 4 provinces, right? Let me and then my provinces obviously reflect like my strength and my stronghold and stuff like that. Like give me things like clan discount. Give me things like honor victory, dishonor victory, enlightenment victory. I want to watch Spider Clan become most honorable enlightenment victory again. Like it was the funniest stuff. Like there can be good complexity, and it does filter out a lot of people. It's the 40K effect, right? Like you can and will filter people out because you can't just buy a commander deck, right? Which is not necessarily bad. Sure, go play commander, right? However, you will just you play against people who are like super sweaty EDH competitive nerds. You will play against people who just bought a throwaway commander deck. You'll have people who actively want to enjoy the format or try for something specific like Otter Tribal. But it's like, I think he's brought enough to the table that I have some reservations on it. I think that the actual hard anti-roll, I think that is going to cause a lot of problems. And then you start running into, well, this person lost this game. I just took it. No, you just stole this. No, I won this, right? And especially if it's outside of an official tournament setting. And that's the thing, from the tournament standpoint, right? Imagine if like you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or you're playing Magic, and if you lose the game, you have to like remove like 2 copies of a card out of your deck. So not only are you playing with a subpar deck, but you're also running into a situation where, because your deck size is less than the deck minimum, right? The deck size minimum. So if your deck is supposed to be like what, 50, and you lose like 3 rounds, and you have to lose 2 cards each time, let's say. So now you're down to 44 cards. You now have just more consistency if the right things get taken out of your deck. Like, you see how that's incredibly RNG and can be degenerative to the format?
Yeah, imagine you're like playing Swiss, and your like deck revolves around like Shy Lily, and then just because of like you end up like X2 after like 14 rounds, and then you're like, yeah, I have like 1 Shy Lily left in my deck. The other 3 got taken because of prize pool. Imagine losing your Fuwas before top cut. Yu-Gi-Oh! Should do this, by the way. If you lose a round, all the cards in your graveyard, you just don't touch them. Like, you just put them aside, and then your opponent just gets to take them. They're yours now. Like, they're like, oh, I played through like 3 hand traps, and one of those was a Fua? Ugh, kind of sucks for you, am I right? Anyone with a history of Magic can tell you why Anti. Anyone with a history of like trading card games could tell you why Anti was removed. It's because fucking nobody wants to like actually gamble. People want to.
I bought my physical product. Let me play my physical product. I don't want to lose my Fiendsmith Engraver because my opponent sleaze me out of a game by hand ripping me with Dark Worlds, right? Like, nobody wants that. It's like, we want our hardcore PvP enabled full loot MMO. Sure, how many release? Yes, there is a dedicated community that likes that style of gameplay. Notice why MMOs keep gravitating away from that, right? Like, that makes sense? People like me, gamers like me, want more Dead Space, but we get more like Call of Duty action titles. I wonder why that is. It's maybe because a lot of people don't want horror titles or thriller titles or titles like Dead Space. And sure, that's fine. Right? Kind of adult agree to disagree moment. Like, dude, like anti rules will lead to problems. This will 100% lead to problems. This will lead to fights. This is going to lead to problems. That's not a speculation. That is anti-rules will cause this.
Gamble on packs, not with each other. I don't think it's like a crazy opinion to be like, yeah, this card game was made with the intent of being trading cards first and a game second, you know?
Yeah, I mean, these card games were a dime a dozen back when I was playing TCGs and back in, the 90s and stuff, right? 90s, early 2000s, right? Everyone wanted to have a card game. There's an Inuyasha card game, right? There's things like Weishvars. I definitely butchered that pronunciation. It's Bushiroad, right? You have things like Evangelion, Love Live, Sword Art Online, Project Diva, right? Like, you have things in that. I think there's HoloLive sets now, Yurbi sets, right? Like, sure, there's a playable game around it. Degree of playability depends on the game, but like, I'm looking at this. I see that there's going to be a lot of issues in regards to judge calls. There's going to be a lot of issues in regards to rulings. There's going to be issues with fights, negativity. That if this is ever played at a competitive level, I personally would go into this because you want to collect things like Shylily, Cottontail, Cinder, Bow, etc. I would not go into this wanting to play a game with the information that has currently been presented to me. Now, I'm open to being wrong. As I said, dude, I'd love to be Seto Kaiba. I'd love to just play competitive games for a living. 100% would be super into it. Okay, like actual like Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City or like Pokemon Indigo League Dream right there. Would love to just live playing competitive games. However, obviously reality, work, etc. Like, I'm open to being proven wrong. I'm open to this game getting some rule tweaks. I'm open to things like deck limit. I'm open to things like anti-rule being removed. I'm open to game turning out and actually being like super good TCG, because I think that is nothing but a net positive, especially for the VTubing community. Like, I see that being a big win. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how this is going to go, like what the progression of this is going to be, especially if a competitive scene does develop.
What I mean? What would happen in Swiss if you lose too many cards and fall under 50? I'm assuming they would be like, if this actually did happen, and like this game,
as far as I'm aware, no minimum deck size was cited.
Somehow saw a tournament scene, it would be like, oh, your opponent, like, you better run to those vendors and like make your deck list legal.
Then don't have an anti-rule. Like, you literally fix it, Fivehead. Like, just don't have an anti-rule, right? Anything that... So here's the thing. Even in Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? And I'm sure this applies with Magic as well. You have a sideboard, right? You have a sideboard of 15 cards that between rounds, you can swap things out. So like, oh, hey, I'm running Droll and Lockbird. My opponent doesn't have anything that I can Droll and Lockbird. Let me just swap that out for like evenly matched, right? But then you have to revert it once the best 2 out of 3 is over, right? Like, when you enter a tournament... This is my deck, right? So if I enter a tournament, right? Actually, I've literally unironically had my fucking Yubel deck right here. Like, so if I go into my tournament, right? And it's like, okay, cool. My extra deck has Aerial Eater, has, God, I can't see. Fiendsmith's Desiree, Necroquip Princess, Phantom of Yubel. Technically, that's the second, that second Phantom goes out for the new Bow Fiend card. Fiendsmith Requiem, Fiend's Sequence, Moon of the Clone Heaven, Muckraker from the Underworld, SP Little Knight, Unchained Solar Rage, Unchained Solar Yama ×2, DDD, Wave Hiking Caesar, and then Verudrus, right? Like, that's just the extra deck. Like, that doesn't change, right? So with an anti-roll, realistically, what that would mean is you have thing get hit, you have certain, like, you have certain threshold get hit. Cool, I'm taking that Verudrus from you. Well, you have now modified my deck via game mechanics mid-tournament so that I ensure like you can have like less than 15. Like the extra deck at 15 is not required in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's advised with a lot of decks, it's not required. But like you're modifying that, and that is going to potentially lead to an issue in cheating. Because what happens, yeah, sure, go find those vendors, right? But like, so that inherently implies that you're able to just refill your deck like mid-tournament, unless it's like, well, this is the deck list that you submitted, and because you submitted this deck list, you can only buy these cards if you lose these cards. But what happens if you have like if your actual like super expensive Shylily card gets taken, they have to go buy a super Shylily card that's taken, but you don't have a Shylily card at the vendor, right? Like, this is going to cause issues.
You know what I'm saying? And like, if you can't, it's like, look, little DQ. But I don't think it's inherently a bad thing that they wanted this game to be primarily just a trading card gooner fest. I don't think it's like wrong to want to have like, like cards of your VTuber talent or whatever. But what I do find kind of frustrating is to have this be marketed as a game. This is not a game. This is an experience. Like, as much shit as I give like White Schwartz for kind of being like just mainly just an anime.
I think a lot of us give White Schwartz shit. I think a lot of us kind of just unironically, dude, I'd play it. I would play it if I get my Project Diva stuff, but that stuff has been out of stock for years at this point. We had one guy locally who I used to know. He also used to play Pokemon as well, but he primarily plays Vanguard. And he bought up like all the boxes of like the Miku sets, like all of them just gone. He also bought up all like the Shadow Paladin set for like Vanguard. Like that man was on a mission.
A Gooner game to like capitalize on fandoms. I still can respect these games for actually being fleshed out playable games. Are they perfectly well balanced? No, but fucking White Schwartz had 7 deadly sins. And like, I think the funniest thing about White Schwartz was for their nationals, I mean, for their World Championships, White Schwartz had seven Deadly Sin decks in top 8 and 1 quintessential quintuplets. But this is not a game. Like, VCard is it's barely even a card. This is just an experience. This is the booster box you bring to the Goon Sesh. You know what I'm saying? It's very frustrating as a tabletop enjoyer to like look at this game and it's just cooked. Oh shit, they have a chatbot. Hello,
Nice.
I had a question regarding VCard. Will customer service respond to me? Okay, but think about it like
So, I'm having to look at this over in Discord right now. I'm gonna pop open our Discord server. We had this be sent. Guab, I don't know who this is. This is their mascot card, right? Looks like we have their element in the top left. This is very similar to things like the Naruto TCG, right? If we look at things like Madara Uchiha, clearly you have Ninja in the top left. Once again, my model's covering it. I apologize. Ninja in top left, that's the type of card it is. Ninja Mission, Jutsu or Client. You have those four types, right? Kind of like how Magic has like Creature, Planeswalker, spell question mark. No, everything's a spell. Sorcery, that kind of thing, right? Then you have Void, which is your element. So your Void is going to be like the water symbol. Not sure what the +1 is. I'm pretty sure that's the value that modifies. I said the mascot is the thing that modifies. Mascot down here, kind of clarifying. I do like that mascot keyword is present. You kind of have the retro like Pokemon thing. So if we go to like base set Charizard, right? And I'm pretty sure that this is actually a fairly... this is pretty invocative of this, right? If we go to, like, base set Charizard, I do not want to shop base set Charizard. That's actually cheaper than I thought it was going to be. That's really weird. We have base set Charizard, right? How you have, like, flame Pokemon, length 5'7", weight 300 pounds. Right, you have this. You have actual, like, flavor text box. I'm not against flavor text box. I mean, things like Madara from Naruto have it as well. I'm trying to find a good... Of course, Madara doesn't have the quotes. Obito does, technically. He has this quote, "The true power of the Sharingan, my power." I'm very much in love with the added flavor text, right? I'm very much in love with that. And then you obviously have the keywords below it. Akatsuki, Rogue Ninja, Jonin, Male, name Toby, which is important. Sharingan Eye, Ambush being a mechanic. You can play it from your chakra area. So I like that you have age unknown, height 1'4", weight. That's very invocative of like older Pokemon. Some Pokemon cards I think still have done it. The Pokemon kind of turns this on and off over the years. I'm not entirely sure. So first edition mark, okay. Set symbol on the right, +1 to your water level card, +2 to your water type power level card, +3 to your Biko VTuber power level card. Yeah, I mean, like, pretty much RTFC takes care of a lot of this. I think that a lot of this is pretty straightforward when you look at this. I don't even know if this is on the right as the set symbol. Obviously first edition with the printing, assuming just from past game knowledge, like, if you look at Obito, it says S21 at the bottom. It says like Ninja 1. I can't remember what it says. It's like it's Ninja, it's Shinobi symbol. It has its 1000, whatever number that is. I thought it was 1111, but I'm pretty sure it's not. S21. This was from set 21, Shattered Truth. This was the Akatsuki, the Sasuke versus Itachi set, to which then you have the 3 dots at the bottom after the copyright, which indicates that it is a super rare. I mean, pretty RTFC. Pretty neat. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Obviously you have your weakness and you have your strength. I mean, I think that there's an idea here. I think that there's a concept here. I think that it would have to really see some love for a little bit. And I think it's not even necessarily that this needed a little bit more time to cook, right? I think that this ends up being one of those situations where, if not handled correctly, this could outright just kill the game, right? Not to be like Yugi Doomer status, right? Like this is unfortunately one of those that any sort of playability can be absolutely lost because rulings like the anti-ruling and stuff are a thing. And that being said, I think that the wrong message to take away, I think some people can take away like, well, Shy Lily and Cinder are clearly on this, and clearly Shy Lily and Cinder wanted the anti-mechanic. There's unless someone comes out and like actually can authenticate that, like there's no, that's not how that works. This was probably developed by a team, right? And the team ended up having a bunch of VTubers. I know I put my name on the initial post, right? And they just picked some VTubers that they wanted to have in the game, and that's fine, right? They're just using VTubers likeness. This is just a form of marketing, right? And I think jumping on the product, just being like bad product, is like not the right way to go about it, because sure, we have things like Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, One Piece, Disney Lorcana now, which always strikes me as really weird. But we have, for every successful card game with like a competitive metagame, we've had our, you know, Zatch Bells, Full Metal Alchemist, Duel Masters that are no longer with us, Chaotic, right? Like there's so many games, and this is very it's very interesting to me so that we're going from because this could have very easily been an app, right? This could have very easily been a gotcha app, but the fact that we're going back from like mobile apps. And sure, we still have things like Pokemon TCG Pocket and Master Duel, right, on mobile. But like the fact that we have companies willing to go out like Disney Lorcana to break into the TCG market again, after we had things like of the death of like the WoW TCG because Hearthstone came out, it's like watching WoW TCG die to go to Hearthstone, but then watching Hearthstone die or fade into obscurity, and they're bringing like the WoW TCG back. That's effectively what this is to me. It's so strange.
If you lose a round, you can finally tell your friends you lost your V card. That is
awful.
I hate the fact that might have been the entire joke of this game. I hate that fact that might have actually, unironically, been the entire joke of the naming convention. Let me know what your thoughts about this card game are. If you like it or not. You're gonna buy the Gunnar Shy Lily binder. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Goodbye forever.
I thought it was good. I thought it was a good piece. I think that him and I, at the end of the day, I think we have a lot of the same concerns. I think that we look at some of the same things. I think that we notice similar problems, such as the ante. And at the end of the day, like, I mean, don't harass anybody, right? Like, don't harass the game devs. Don't harass gamer subs. Don't harass any of the talent like Shiloh Bow or anything like that. Like, this is not that. This is a critique and criticism of the game as it stands. And I'm personally just not a collector. There is absolutely markets for collectors, right? A lot of Pokemon scalpers want to play that collector's market. Absolutely. I'm much sure I like my shiny cards, but at the end of the day, I want to play my Yubel deck. At the end of the day, I want to play my Scorpion deck. I want to play my Naruto deck, right? Like I'm a player first and foremost, and a collector most certainly second. So one of those things, I probably won't be buying the product because it seems like this is just it is a collector's product, I think, first and foremost. And that's fine. Like, it's allowed to be a collector's product. It just means that I'll scratch that competitive itch with other games. I thought this was great. I'll let this reaction serve as kind of my like response, if you will, kind of like sharing my feelings on the subject. But let me know what you guys think in the description down below. Did this kind of shock you? Because I know we cover a lot of like serious stuff on the channel. I know that we cover a wide variety of topics, but is this a side of me you haven't seen before? A side of me that terrifies you? Let me know in the description. And if you want to support the original video and the creator, I will link those in the description down below. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next one.